Have you ever wondered which countries are the most dangerous for Western travelers? Well, you're about to find out. We've scoured data and reports from reputable sources like the US Department of State, the World Bank, and the Institute for Economics and Peace to bring you a comprehensive list of the top 10. These are countries that consistently raise concerns due to various risks like political instability, armed conflict, and high crime rates, among others. Hold on to your seats as we begin the countdown from number 10. Starting off at number 10, we have Iraq. This is a land where danger has often been as ubiquitous as the desert sands. Terrorism, kidnapping threats, and ongoing conflict have sadly become the everyday norm. ISIS, Al-Qaeda, and various other groups have left their bloody fingerprints across the nation, turning it into one of the riskiest places for Western travelers. But let's not paint the entire canvas with one brushstroke. There are glimmers of hope. Security has seen a modest upswing in certain areas. Cities like Erbil in the north have become relatively safer, with life slowly regaining some semblance of normalcy. Yet this doesn't negate the fact that the shadow of danger looms large. Kidnapping threats persist and areas still struggle under the weight of ongoing conflict. Despite improvements, Iraq remains a place where caution is paramount. It's a country that demands respect for its risks, even as it commands awe for its rich history and resilient people. Next up at number 9 is South Sudan. A nation born out of conflict, South Sudan is still grappling with the repercussions of its tumultuous past. The nation's ongoing conflict, a grim legacy of its birth, has left its mark on every facet of life here. The conflict has spawned a severe food insecurity crisis. Many South Sudanese people find themselves trapped in a vicious cycle of violence and hunger. The situation is further complicated by the nation's limited infrastructure. Roads, hospitals, schools, the basic building blocks of a functioning society, are in short supply here. This lack of infrastructure not only makes life challenging for the locals but also amplifies the risks for anyone considering a visit to South Sudan. Navigating the country can be a daunting task, and the lack of essential services can turn a minor mishap into a major crisis. A region where survival is a daily struggle, South Sudan is a challenging destination for any traveler. Coming in at number 8, we have North Korea. Now, let's tread lightly here because this is no ordinary country. North Korea stands out for its highly restrictive regime, a stark contrast to the liberties enjoyed in most parts of the world. The government exercises an iron grip over every aspect of life, from the information people consume to where they can travel. The limited freedom of movement is a major concern. You can't just wander off on your own. You're always under the watchful eyes of state-appointed guides. And then there's the potential for arbitrary detention. Simply put, you could end up in jail for what may seem like innocuous actions elsewhere. This could range from unauthorized photography to disrespecting the country's leaders. It's a different world in North Korea, one that operates on its own set of rules. North Korea, a country shrouded in mystery and strict rules, is certainly not for the faint-hearted. Before we move further into the list, a quick word from me. Welcome folks to the epicenter of exploration and adventure, where we unravel the mysteries of our world. I'm Mort, your guide on this journey. If you're intrigued by what you've seen so far, do give a thumbs up and subscribe. This way you'll never miss a chance to explore Mort's world with me. Now back to our countdown. Brace yourself as we delve deeper into the danger zone. At number 7, we find ourselves in Venezuela. A land of contrasting beauty and turmoil, Venezuela is currently grappling with severe political and economic crises. Once a prosperous nation, it now faces a staggering inflation rate that has led to shortages of basic goods and services. The economic hardship has fueled a rise in crime, with the country experiencing some of the highest crime rates in the world. Violent crimes such as homicide, armed robbery, and kidnapping are sadly commonplace. Moreover, the political unrest has strained Venezuela's healthcare system and infrastructure, leaving many without access to essential services. Power outages are frequent, and there's a severe lack of medical supplies in hospitals. This makes navigating everyday life in Venezuela a challenge, let alone for any unsuspecting visitor. In a nutshell, Venezuela's situation is a complex cocktail of political instability, economic crisis, and high crime rates. Venezuela, a country in crisis where dangers lurk in the shadows of its once vibrant streets. Moving on to number 6, we have Mali. Known for its rich history and vibrant culture, Mali, unfortunately, faces daunting challenges due to persistent terrorist threats. These threats are not isolated, they infiltrate the daily lives of the locals and pose a significant risk to foreigners. Mali also grapples with the real and pervasive risk of kidnappings. These incidents, often carried out by terrorist groups, are not uncommon and add an extra layer of danger. Westerners, in particular, are often targeted, making the situation even more perilous for them. Beyond the terror and kidnapping risks, Mali is marred by civil unrest. Certain areas, especially in the north and central regions, are hotbeds of conflict and instability. Political tensions and ethnic strife often erupt into violence, further exacerbating the precarious situation. In Mali, the threat of terror looms large, making it a risky destination for travelers. Despite its enchanting landscapes and cultural richness, safety remains a major concern. At number 5, we find Libya, a nation that certainly isn't for the faint of heart. Political instability has been a constant companion for Libya since the fall of Gaddafi's regime in 2011. This power vacuum has led to a proliferation of armed groups, each vying for control and influence, making certain regions volatile and dangerous. The trouble doesn't stop there. High crime rates add another layer of risk for anyone daring to venture into this North African nation. From petty theft escalating to violent crime, the lawlessness can be pervasive and unpredictable. The constant state of flux in Libya's political scene, the ongoing armed conflict, and the elevated crime rates make it a hazardous destination, especially for Westerners. This is a place where caution is not just advisable, it's a prerequisite. Yet, beneath the turmoil and danger, there's a rich history and culture waiting to be explored. Libya, where instability and conflict cast a dark shadow over its rich history. Moving up to number 4, we come to Yemen. This southwestern corner of the Arabian Peninsula is a land deeply scarred by a devastating civil war that has been raging since 2015. This conflict, a complex power struggle involving various factions and foreign powers, has plunged the country into a severe humanitarian crisis. The people of Yemen are not only caught in the crossfire but are also facing acute shortages of food, water, and medical aid. The war has decimated the country's infrastructure, making it incredibly challenging to deliver these essential resources to those in need. Moreover, Yemen is a high-risk area for airstrikes and landmines. The remnants of war, these hidden dangers lurk in unexpected places, posing a dire threat to both locals and any potential visitors. In summary, the ongoing civil war, the humanitarian crisis, and the high risk of airstrikes and landmines make Yemen an incredibly dangerous place. Yemen, a land scarred by war and crisis, presents extreme dangers. At number 3, we find Somalia. In this East African nation, the sea isn't just a picturesque backdrop, it's a stage for the frequent pirate attacks that have become synonymous with the country's name. These pirates, often former fishermen driven to desperation, have made the waters off Somalia some of the most dangerous in the world. But the danger doesn't stop at the shoreline. Political instability has plagued Somalia for decades, causing a lack of effective governance and leaving a power vacuum, often filled by militant groups. This instability has led to a breakdown of infrastructure, law and order, making it a risky proposition for any traveler. And underlying all of this is a devastating level of poverty. Somalia is one of the poorest countries in the world, with a significant portion of the population living in extreme poverty. This economic hardship exacerbates the other issues, creating a vicious cycle of instability and danger. Somalia, where dangers lurk on land and sea, is a perilous destination. Moving up to number 2, we come to Syria, a land of ancient history and rich culture, now sadly synonymous with an active civil war that's been raging for over a decade. The ongoing conflict has been a breeding ground for widespread violence, turning the once peaceful cities into battlegrounds. The situation is further exacerbated by the extensive damage to the country's infrastructure. Roads, hospitals, schools, utilities, you name it, the war has taken its toll. This has made basic survival a challenge for the people living there, let alone travel for outsiders. The danger isn't just confined to the war zones. The remnants of war, unexploded ordnances and landmines lurk in the shadows, posing a silent yet deadly threat. Despite the ceasefires and peace talks, the conflict shows little sign of abating. With the war's end not in sight, the outlook remains grim. Syria, a country torn apart by war, is a place where danger is a constant companion. And finally, at number 1, we have Afghanistan. The country, unfortunately, earns this title due to a trifecta of risks: ongoing armed conflict, high crime rates, and threats of kidnapping. Nestled in the heart of Asia, this country has been a battleground for major powers for decades, making peace a rare commodity. The armed conflict, predominantly between government forces and the Taliban, continues to destabilize the nation, affecting both urban and rural areas. The constant threat of violence and unrest hangs heavy in the air, making it an extremely dangerous place for foreign visitors. Adding to this, Afghanistan is plagued by high crime rates. From petty thievery to organized crime, the lawlessness adds another layer of risk. The looming threat of kidnapping, particularly targeting foreigners, is a harsh reality, making every journey a potential gamble. Afghanistan, a land of conflict and danger, stands as the most hazardous destination for Western travelers. And there you have it, the 10 most dangerous countries for Western travelers. From the ongoing conflict in Afghanistan to the restrictive regime in North Korea, these places pose significant risks. But let's not forget about the volatile political situation in Venezuela and Libya, or the dire humanitarian crisis in Yemen. It's crucial to be aware of these dangers when venturing into the unknown. Remember, knowledge is power. Stay safe, stay informed, and keep exploring with Mort's World.